All right, great to see everybody. Another live stream from DevRev, and today we're gonna have the pleasure to talk to one of our fine engineers, Aman. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good, Ahmed. How about you?
Yeah, fantastic. So today we're gonna actually see a pretty exciting demo. Um, it's an exciting moment because I think we often talk about customer support as being an area where you're starting to see a lot of AI show up. Of course, we've talked about the builder's experience, the product manager's experience, a lot of different spaces. But today we actually talk about that space between these departments. What lies between core development and customer support are things like incident management and reliability. And so today we're going to see how DevRev and computer agents can actually help us fight fires, handle incident management, and start to build the type of modern workflows, access to data, and quick analytics that give us the right insights at the right time to handle some of these very important incidents that oftentimes systems administrators and other L2, L3 type engineers have to handle. So I know, Aman, you've set up some things in the background behind the scenes to kind of get us rolling here. And so I think the setup here, maybe you can walk us through it.
Yeah, so basically, just before joining this meeting, I brought down one of the demo services. So as you can see, it started to alert suddenly just a couple of minutes ago. So basically, what this snap-in, it's a snap-in automation. So it's called the meeting transcriber snap-in, and what it does is that given some audio data in bytes, it tries to generate the transcript of it using OpenAI Whisper. And so yeah, and how I brought it down is that I changed a feature flag, which was basically the limit onto the size of the audio that we accept as transcribable. So yeah, I changed that. And probably what we're going to be seeing ahead is that I'll get a paging call, and then we'll walk through the entire flow as to how it moved from the Datadog alert to create an alert in our DevRev system, and then from there it got judged by an AI agent. Finally, after that, it created an incident on our system and routed it to me. And finally, once I get paged, I accept it, and then we get an RCS. So that's how the flow looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for going through that. So, just to repeat, we're looking at Datadog here. It's basically a fictitious service. I mean, it's a meaningful service, but it's one set up for demo purposes. And it looks like you're getting a call, Aman.
Yeah, I'm getting a call. Let me just put it on speaker.
Okay.
So that you can hear. Yeah.
Note, this is a paging call from DevRev's incident management system. Press 1 to acknowledge this incident. There has been a blocker incident INC2180 entitled Error Rate is High for Meeting Transcriber Snap-in. Failing to acknowledge will escalate this incident.
Okay. So let me walk through this real quick. Okay, so you've acknowledged the incident. Thanks for taking the call. And let's go into the alert, and we can take a look at that. So we started by looking at Datadog, but actually the kicker here is, very few of us have the time and capacity to actually be monitoring these dashboards unless you're actively deploying a major service. Most people are not sitting there looking at these dashboards. So if we want to shift over and show the alert in DevRev, that's actually an interesting place for us to start, because really the key here is that we are automatically taking this information and creating these alerts out of it. And these alerts have a great deal of information. Maybe, Aman, you can briefly just walk us through what kind of information exists in this alert.
Yeah, sure. So let me just explain how it works. So basically, as soon as there was an alert in Datadog, we have a webhook listener on that, and due to which DevRev brought in all the metadata from the alert on Datadog, and it actually dedupes these alerts. So it checks if there was any alert that was similar to this one, and it has a dedupe mechanism on that. So we see these aggregation key and alert cycle key. These are two keys that we get from Datadog, and we get the monitor ID from which we got the alert. And you can always jump right, so you don't have to actually, like, I started from the monitor page from Datadog, but actually you can just reside on the alerts on DevRev, and it gives you all the information that you want. So it tells you like this is the alert. MP3 file size exceeds maximum allowed size. So as I was saying, that we just deliberately brought down the limit, so it's too low a limit, it's 5 KB. And right from here you can see that it was triggered, the last triggered time, that's right now, and you can actually go to directly to the monitor status, or you can go and see the related logs. So we can move to that. And yeah, this is a unique alert. So like as I said, we do a deduplication. So this alert was checked with all the other existing alert, not all of them, but we keep a window which is configurable, and so it checks the alerts within that time window and actually deduplicates it. So it says that there was no alert in the system from which this matches, and so it created a unique alert, and from there our system like takes off. So
Can
you can see the
can
on.
you make the window? Can you stretch out the window a little bit? I know you can stretch the side panel so it's a little longer. Yeah, can you make it a lot longer? Yeah, fantastic. So I want to mention a couple of things here. So you mentioned webhooks and Datadog a few times. The fact that it's a webhook means it doesn't have to be sourced from Datadog. It could be any system that has an alert and supports webhooks, which is pretty much all modern SaaS software. So you can actually base these alerts to be generically from many systems that might be out there, even homegrown products that perhaps people have that are setting up logs and telemetry, perhaps even alerts, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's we can create connectors for any alerting mechanism out there. So it's just a webhook, and we should be good to go from there.
And also you mentioned that you had these fields like aggregation key and things of that nature, alert scope, the fact that it was unique. What's really beautiful is that these alerts, just like every other object in our system, it's endlessly customizable. So you could actually create attributes, even set up certain fields that are automatically set up and populated based on workflows and what have you, depending on however a company wants to set up their processes, correct?
That's right. Actually, to add to your point, if you see, this is a C alert object. So even the alert is a custom object in DevRev. So actually, everything over here is customizable. These are the keys that we get from Datadog. So that's why we've added them. But in case your connector is something else, then you can always add the keys for them.
Yeah, and Aman, of course, this is an active incident in this particular case. So let's go to that incident object. I know there's a correlation between this alert. And remember, folks, I know we started with Datadog, but as we mentioned, you don't necessarily even have to start there, because as Aman got a phone call, he actually knows exactly which incident he needs to go and look at. So maybe we can click into that incident and just kind of see what it looks like.
Yeah, we can do that. Just before that, I wanted to add, so right, like alerts are just one source of like alerts on Datadog are one source of an alert in DevRev. But actually, I wanted to also go to another source that we have built extensively. So the main problem right now is that there is a lot of noise in many systems, due to which their alerts are noisy. So what we did is that we skipped that step and actually started ingesting logs from our native logging consumer. And from there we actually create alerts on our own. So how that works is that we get the log patterns. So we ingest all the error logs, and then we actually run a miner on top of them, a pattern miner on top of them, and then we get these log patterns, and then we dedupe them amongst themselves, and we get the trace. So now once we have the trace of the log patterns, we know which log patterns are all correlated with one another, right? And then from there we actually create these alerts. So we again run this exact deduplication that I showed you right now, but with the source being logs. So this was just an example of an alert that we had from Datadog's alert, but we take other sources as well.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. What you're saying is that not only can you use webhooks to integrate with sources of alerts, but if you don't have a source of alerts, but you have a source of logs, that those logs can be brought in and actually streamed through and mined for alerts based on their signatures. And that's just another way that we can actually create alerts. And alerts can either be created because they're coming from systems that are webhook connected, or they can be generated through this log mining mechanism that you just talked about. Either way, once those alerts are created, then from that point on, that's the right abstraction to then sort of escalate things. In this particular case, we created an incident out of it.
Yep. And I think we missed one more thing, that like this was an alert. So a lot of alerts get created, like in the magnitudes of hundreds of alerts get created in a day. but not
Yeah.
all of them deserve to be moving to an incident. So I think we can take a moment to just look at how we decided whether this is an incident or not.
Sure.
And because, like you saw that at the beginning, I got paged for this incident, so we cannot expect to page everyone for each alert that comes into the system. So
Yeah.
we actually have, on top of all the correlation that we did, that whichever alerts were correlated, we brought them all in that unique check that I showed you. So on top of that deduplication and denoising, we actually have a judge component, which is nothing but an AI agent. And that I'll go into the workings of the judge as the talk goes on. But just to give you an idea, it actually shows a lot of things. It goes over the overview, and all of this happened just within a matter of few minutes because like the paging call just came in. So yeah, it goes over the overview of what happened, the service details. So as I explained, like the snap-in meeting transcriber is a DevRev snap-in, and it processes the MP3 media or meeting audio. So yeah, it gives the log patterns observed, like I was telling you about log patterns of pattern miner, and then it gives the analysis of the alert, the frequency, the customer impact, etc. And all of these, I'll tell you like what's going on behind the scenes, but just to go for completion's sake, it goes over all of this, and then it gives a conclusion and recommendation as to why it feels that it needs to be escalated to an incident and someone needs to look into it.
Yep. No, that's outstanding. I think you're gonna get another call if we don't start to look at that incident pretty quickly. So
Oh,
let's have a
yes,
look.
yes. Yep. Yeah. So this is the incident object. So yeah, you can see that it was linked to the alert, and since I acknowledged the incident, it's moved the incident stage to acknowledged. This is the severity, which was determined by the judge in the previous what I showed you from the previous run.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is the impacted part. So we also do owner and part routing. Would you want me to go ahead and like explain that right now, or?
Yeah, let's do that, because I think this concept of parts. So what's really fascinating about the DevRev platform, on top of which this use case that we're demoing is built, is the fact that we have an understanding of your products, your features, your capabilities, but then also behind the scenes, the services, the libraries that are actually serving and powering, so that you've got both sort of the parts that developers are producing, and then of course what your customers are consuming, and those relationships. That's part of our knowledge graph. And so what I love about it is not just the fact that it knew to actually route this to you and make that phone call. Obviously, once you've acknowledged it, it reflects that in the system of record, because it actually has that opportunity to not just be a read tool, but a read write tool. But of course, tell me about that part.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's the meeting transcript part that I created for this. So this is a rev part, by the way. So for anyone who doesn't understand, a rev part is a customer facing part. And so what it actually did is that it mapped the dev part, what we call dev part, which is basically my service, the developer facing part of it. And it mapped that to the correct rev part. And how it does that is, I think you were bang on that it actually goes over our entire service graph, our knowledge base, everything, and it understands that which dev paths link to which rev paths, and in the context of this alert. So yeah, and that's pretty much how we actually get the routing done as well. So it's not like I was statically an owner of this service, but it actually there is no static list. So it's actually because I was contributing multiple times to this service, because I was the one who brought down the service. That's why the routing actually happened to me. So yeah, so that's because everything is ingested into the system.
Yeah, I think this is, people often ask us about how to demonstrate value of knowledge graph. It's about understanding the context of what the work is, the customer, and the product, and being able to build those relationships. So this is a perfect example, because you've been contributing to creating these services that are powering this specific feature. The fact that this feature was impacted is known. The fact that this service was probably critical to the impact to the service is known. And your relationship, because of the work that you've done, is known. Your identity is known as a developer. The fact that it can reach out to you and actually have you acknowledge this. This is fantastic. I think this is a wonderful way of sort of demonstrating knowledge graph in practice. Now, once we've got this information, tell me about what type of on-call agent contributions are being made here. There's a lot of information. Some of it looks like what we saw in the alert, but there's a lot more going on here.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I'll help you with that. So it was created by the on-call agent. Like end to end, this incident was created by the on-call agent. And let me just tell you what the RCA agent actually brought in. So Archon policy is actually the service that we use for managing feature flags. So the root cause agent was able to actually find that there was a change in the Archon policy, and it had set the maximum allowed size for meeting transcript uploads to be 5 KB, which is causing a normal MP3 files to be rejected. So what this actually means is that we saw that this service was actually observing that MP3 files of this size were actually being accepted by a service, and there was no alert on that. But suddenly it actually went and fetched the feature flags which we ingest, and it said that okay, there's a configuration bug, and recently we have changed it to 5 KB, which is quite low, and that's caused the anomalous behavior. And then it goes on to actually say give the immediate actions as well. It brings in the commit that this is the faulty commit. So as a service owner, I can just come in over here, and it's already done most of my work. It's actually brought me the faulty commit, whereas the commit that actually broke the system was not even in the service that was throwing the error logs. It was actually in the feature flag service.
Yeah.
So it has that understanding of how these services interact with each other.
Yeah, I'll add
And
a couple of things, Aman, if you don't mind.
yeah.
So I think what's really fascinating here is that you're starting to see a lot of different connectors coming in, right? It's the fact that we know about your issues, we understand your GitHub changes. Obviously, we can just look at the PRs that are associated with your issues, and of course, for a modern knowledge worker, or modern developer who's using an MCP compliant IDE, we can actually even have these issues and the status updates be reflected directly through MCP invocations coming straight from a cursor or an augment or any of these MCP compliant IDEs. So you can just say create issue, update timeline, and all the right information associated with your Git changes, for example, if you're using Git, those will be reflected back into the system of record. And now the system of record has a really beautiful log of what changes are associated with which issues, who is the individual, the software developer that's associated with that, what service is it impacting, what features is that impacting. That's all part of the greater knowledge graph relationship that we already talked about. So the fact that these connections are actually bringing in such rich information from disparate sources, some when you're updating things directly from your IDE, some that's actually happening in terms of collaboration that's happening within the issue conversation or the enhancement conversation or the feature conversation. All this information semantically and syntactically, and the system of record relationships that already exist, it all combines to be able to give you a rational response here. And of course, it's all very sort of customizable as needed.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense actually. Yeah, the point that you said about having MCP IDEs and then actually creating issues for every code change you make, for every piece of work that you do, and actually ingesting all of that into DevRev, and then having our crawlers to go through all of that knowledge base. It can have a lot of impact on like the amount of knowledge that our agents can work on top of then.
Yeah, Naman, maybe this is a great time for me to mention that we do, as of last week, we actually announced our remote MCP server offering. So you guys can look up DevRev remote MCP and see if you're not already using it and integrating that into your IDE as a DevRev user, please start to do that. And if you're not using DevRev, what are you waiting for? And then, of course, another plug to join us on Discord. We often have follow-up conversations to these lively live streams over on Discord, and we love talking to customers about questions that they may have after they watch these. So if you have any questions, or if you want to start a dialogue about any other topic, maybe you want to see a live stream on some other topics in the future, the place to do it is on Discord. So join us there. But Aman, let's keep going, because down below it actually also shows that you can see there's the incident blot. It says that it assigned this to you and made a phone call. You can actually see that on attempt 1 of 3, you picked up the call. Is that correct? Is that what happened?
That's pretty correct. Yeah, on the first attempt of 3. So we have a notifications agent that's actually running behind this, and what it does is that this is all configurable actually. But for what this tenant is using, so we can it makes 3 attempts to page you after every 5 minutes, and if not, then it will just tag your manager. But this is all configurable. So for any tenant, if they have some other rules that they want to escalate it to, then we can accommodate that. And so this is an inbuilt pager that we have, and it uses Amazon Connect in the background. And yeah, that's what it says that I picked it up on the first attempt.
I love it. So there's more to do here, but I think in the next 5-7 minutes, I want to see if we can resolve this incident and show what happens in those subsequent steps. So maybe you can just push a PR, maybe get a buddy to approve a PR and get it merged real quick.
Yep. I have someone. So Pratham, if you can just approve this PR, please.
Okay, outstanding. So what we're doing here is obviously right before we started recording, there was a PR that was merged that I effectively broke the service so that we could actually demo this to you guys effectively. And now that we've kind of walked through the alert mechanisms, the various ways that alerts can be created, either directly being brought in from sources that you have on your end where alerts are already being generated, or by gathering logs and being able to translate those logs into alerts. And then, of course, doing another level of filtering by taking those alerts and figuring out the signature of the alert to see if it actually needs to be escalated to the incident. And of course, then involving people like Aman so they can help triage and perhaps resolve the issue. And now what we're looking at is pushing the PR. So it looks like you merged the PR. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. Now it just take a minute or two to deploy, and we should be good. Over here, what we expect is that once that deploys, so since it's a fix and we brought it back to the 50 KB limit, so then the errors are going to subside, and so our alert will go back to normal, and then it'll sync right over here, and the alert in DevRev should also start showing that the status is resolved.
So let's go to Datadog, because obviously we started in Datadog. Maybe we can go back there to see what happened. So clearly we can see that this thing has been alerting for the last, N minutes or what have you. And can we see this thing subsiding? Let's see if we can have a look at that. I guess it's going to take a second because the service is going to get pushed out. So let the service get pushed out. What are some sort of what's some commentary that you want to add to this? Because you talked about a lot of these things being highly customizable. What's really interesting is that not only are the alerts coming in from variable sources, what I like about the fact that these incidents that we're talking about, these incidents don't only have to show up from alerts that are being escalated into alerts. You could actually have tickets from customers, and those tickets from the customers could actually turn into incidents themselves using workflows. Or if somebody manually sees that there's an alert and an incident, they can actually go and create an incident and have many of the same automations get triggered as what you've shown here. So maybe talk a little bit about how there's flexibility and optionality around the incident object itself.
Yep, sure. So actually, this is something that we are actually thinking about. So there can be so many sources of incidents, like you mentioned. Tickets is a very direct one. Like we have customers sometimes report a ticket, and then and a bug ticket, and then when our teams look at the ticket, then many times we see that okay, this could be called an incident because we are getting multiple such sources of tickets from different tenants, different customers. So that's one source. But now, apart from that, there is another way that to actually go ahead one step further and start detecting incidents from user sessions. So we already ingest user sessions. So we can see when a user is dropping off from their journey. We can see when on a particular user session, we can see their network logs, their console logs. So we know what's going on over there. And that's another place that we can actually go ahead and use the anomalous detection that we're doing and start using them as a source for creating alerts. So if we define journeys, and then if we see that many users are dropping off that journey, then that could be another source of alerts. So all of these, like we have created the second half of this funnel, and then now it's just integrating different sources into it, and everything else is so customizable that everything just sits right.
Yeah, second half of the funnel, I love the words you use, because the reality is that you want to be able to give people whatever pluggable experiences they need, whether they want to plug in alerts directly, they want to plug in events, telemetry in the form of logs, and other published metrics, or if it's sessions like what we saw in last week's discussion with Kunal a couple of weeks ago. So it looks like Datadog is now reflecting. So obviously the PR that we merged using our CI/CD technologies, that has now reflected into the service, this meeting transcriber service that we had created. And so you can start to see that now that the meeting transcriber has reflected the update based on the PR, there's new code, new property, And so as you can see, with the new value that was just merged in this pull request, you can see that the problem has subsided. So now the question is, how long and how autonomous is it from getting to this shift in this Datadog metric to what we see in our system? Let's go back and maybe have a look at that.
Yep. Let's take a look. So let me just come over here, open the alert page.
Yeah. What I like about this is the fact that, of course, we're looking at this like we would a normal system of record. But the truth is, you could actually use computer, which we showed last week. You could actually conversationally access information to say, hey, what's going on with the incident that was reported? Is Aman, has Aman acknowledged it? What's the latest? Where are we discussing this? Give me a link to the incident. Or maybe give me a link to a Slack if your company uses Slack to manage incidents. And it would be able to give you all that information conversationally.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
And yeah, we got the status resolved. It was almost real time. So,
wow, unbelievable. Yep. So okay, so basically we made a code change. Obviously, it took a few minutes for Datadog to reflect that, because it took a few minutes for the service to reflect that. And as soon as we got back in here to take a look at the alert, it's been resolved. And if I go to the incident, are there other steps that are taken on your behalf? I mean, maybe you want to put in a message here and there to say, I made the PR change, or maybe this is related to an issue that you can maybe push or something like that.
Yep. So suppose I can over here we can collaborate on the incident. Like right now I've already resolved it, but in case I need to pull in someone over here in the timeline, I can just like go, sorry. Where are we with this? And yeah, over here we can easily collaborate on this. And where this is actually being pulled in is that now that we have a whole timeline of what all has happened on this incident, in an actual incident there's a lot more collaboration going on over here. Like just my one message is not reflective of that. But now that the incident is resolved, the alert got resolved, I can go ahead and move this to fixing. So should I just show you how we can like close the circle and actually resolve it, and how this entire context fits into whatever documentation we do? Yeah.
Do it. By the way, as soon as you messaged me, I actually got the message notification on my mobile app. So I was about to respond, but then you shifted gears here. Okay, let's see what happens here. So you've set a couple of fields.
Yep. So these are all again customizable fields. So this is what we wanted. So we check whether it's customer reported and all these type of things. Let's just say. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, this is a fictitious incident, so we're just gonna fill these out very, very quickly. And of course, you do want some of these things to be filled out by somebody so that there's some level of accountability. But there's a lot of tedious work that you want to kind of get out of the way as well.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, 2180. I'm actually going to go in and just respond to you real quick.
Yep.
And so now that you've actually marked this as completed, what's going to happen is we're obviously going to want a post-incident analysis doc. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So as you could see that as soon as I moved it to mitigated, it's not uncompleted for us. But as soon as I say that this incident has been mitigated for now, to move it to completed, it actually asked me to add a PIA doc. So that is something that we do. So a PIA doc is like a post-incident analysis doc. And it's basically, it gives you all this, the summary, the timeline, the analysis, the 5 whys, lessons learned, and preventive actions. And this is so that like the incident doesn't happen in the future. So as you can see that while we could have been filling up the entire incident, but what we did is we created an article for ourselves, which we can then go and link to the incident. And this article already has pre-filled everything for us. It's just the reflective questions that we, by choice, we have left it so that the engineer actually goes ahead to your point of accountability. And so just the analysis and the 5 whys are left, but it gives you the summary of the incident, the timeline of the incident. So, and engineers don't have to actually spend their time filling all these things up, and they just go ahead and they reflect on the lessons learned, etc., and they just add that to the incident and complete it. That's the entire life cycle.
I love it. I mean, just the fact that the knowledge base can be used to create the document. The document is related. You can actually set accountability by assigning the identities. The identities are well known because we have that best-in-class identity and access management layer. Obviously, who can access this record, who can access specific fields, who can actually set certain fields, all can be governed by the access management layer within DevRev. And of course, you can create workflows to do way more than this. You can actually schedule meetings. You can actually have certain invitees be added on automatically. If you go back to the incident, you can see that I've responded saying that I'm going to have a look at this PIA. And so, I think this is really, really good. So yeah, you got that. If you scroll all the way down, I said I'm having a look at the PIA. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is fantastic. I think we spent 30 minutes looking at pretty much everything from start to finish. You break the system with a PR, you create an alert, you actually have that alert be judged and escalated into an incident. You got a call, you acknowledged it. We started to work through the system. We talked about the background and all the different optionality that we have, the workflows, the identity management, the routing, the parts. Everything was discussed. I think we saw everything we needed to see. And now we're on to trying to do a PIA on this. Thank you, Aman. Any last words from your side?
Nope, I think you've actually summarized it. Yeah, you've like everything works well together because we have ingested all the workflows have something to work on, and yeah, our knowledge base is ingesting everything. So yeah, I think you've summarized it well.
I mean, there's a lot more to do. I mean, guys, like we don't hesitate to show stuff as we're working on it. This is just the way we're building here in DevRev is out in the open, trying to be as transparent as possible. So join us on Discord, have a conversation with us. Hopefully you liked what you saw. Again, Aman, great to see this and great to see all the progress happening on incident management, not just for DevRev, but for our customers as well, who are using DevRev to do so many amazing things, including incident management. So I'm excited to see where this goes next. And again, thanks to everybody who joined us for this live stream, and you'll find this on YouTube as well. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.